In El Salvador, 2,000 prisoners are herded into a maximum security prison. It's disturbing footage. They've been jailed without fair trials as part of a nationwide crackdown. And what's really shocking about this video is it was posted by the country's president. Nayib Bukele has locked up tens of thousands of young men. Yet across Latin America, he's more popular than the Pope. I travelled to El Salvador to find out why this increasingly authoritarian leader has approval ratings of 80 to 90%.
President Bukele offers a playbook for how to dismantle a democracy while remaining popular.
We're standing on a road outside a prison in El Salvador. Tens of thousands of young men, rounded up by the police, accused of being gangsters, are locked up without anything remotely resembling a trial. Along this road, mothers of them wait for a possibility of a glimpse of their son either being transported out of the prison or sometimes tragically taken to hospital after beatings inside.
These families are feeling the effects of one of the most intense wars on gangs Latin America has ever seen.
El Salvador has long been plagued by stratospheric levels of gang violence. Like nearly every president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele won office on a promise to crack down on gangs. Unlike previous presidents, he did so with a ferocity that was quite unprecedented. His programme was to toss out the old rulebook and round up a huge proportion of the young male population of El Salvador. Anyone whom the police remotely suspected of even distant ties to a gang, on the flimsiest of evidence. Could be a dodgy tattoo, could be an anonymous tip-off.
So far, Bukele has locked up the equivalent of 7% of El Salvador's young male population. On the streets near San Salvador, people seem unfazed by Bukele's tactics.
Porque así pues ya uno puede caminar con tranquilidad, sus hijos están más tranquilos, ¿verdad? Entonces gracias a Dios con el régimen, sí, para mí está bueno eso.
He's changed the balance of fear in neighbourhoods. It used to be that gangsters could swagger into people's shops and demand money, and the shopkeepers would feel they had to pay up because if they didn't they'd be killed, and they didn't think that anyone would do anything about the gangsters because that would require testimony which everyone was too scared to give. Now that's changed. The gangsters know that just one phone call from an anonymous person can get them locked up indefinitely.
Many Salvadorians are delighted that the gangs have lost their grip, but the families I saw outside the jail told a different story.
¿Y por qué agarraron a él?
Pues no le dicen a la gente, solamente llegan y se lo llevan.
¿Tenía tatuajes?
No,
ninguno. Ninguno.
Ni andaba en la calle tampoco. Nomás salía con sus hijas a la playa con su esposa.
With over 70,000 people imprisoned on, at best, circumstantial evidence, it didn't surprise me that the women I spoke to wouldn't risk showing their faces.
They didn't want to appear on camera because anyone can be locked up on no evidence in El Salvador, so they're terrified.
This is Gustavo Villatoro, El Salvador's Minister for Justice and Internal Security. I challenged him on his government's erosion of due process. When will the people who are being held get their trials? How long will it take to finish their trials?
Well, this is... we are working. The trial against them already started. 63,000 of them are under a judge decision in prison, but we expect maybe 24 months more to finish the trial against.
And these trials, are they individual trials or group trials?
In group.
And what do you say to the human rights groups who say that this crackdown has been pursued without proper regard to human rights?
We don't work for human rights organization. we work for Salvadorian citizens.
It's not just due process that Bukele's government is chipping away at. He's dismantling other checks and balances, largely in the name of keeping Salvadorians safe.
So he purges the judiciary of judges who want to restrain him. He's reducing the size of parliament and gerrymandering it to increase his party's control. He's even using crime as an excuse to gag the media by passing a terrifying law which imposes jail sentences of 10 to 15 years for any report that causes anxiety or amplifies, supposedly, any messages from gangs.
El Salvador tiene un futuro brillante por delante de nosotros. Gracias en gran parte a usted.
For now, most Salvadorians are celebrating the peace that's come back to their streets. But over time, they may discover that they've traded fear of gangs for fear of a police state.